Technology rollouts have been accelerated manyfold around the world as the COVID-19 pandemic spurs businesses to take new approaches.
Wells Fargo was able to smoothly transition more than 250,000 staff to home working within days of taking the decision to close offices. It also faced significantly increased customer demand for digital banking tools.
Well, Saul Van Beurden is head of technology at Wells Fargo, and he joins us now live from New York to explore the challenges the bank faced and indeed where we might go from here. So, Saul, a very good day to you. Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, it was one hell of a challenge, but you made it. But I mean, aside from that, what are the other main challenges you faced during the pandemic?
Good morning. And first of all, thanks for having me. The main challenges were around safety first, not only for our employees, like you already said, but also for our customers and clients, making sure they can all safely bank from home. So we did a big digital push, if you want to call it like that, making everything that can be virtually done, doing it virtual, meaning document sharing, signatures, all those type of things. The other challenge is making sure that the economy stays alive. So making sure that we were able to quickly roll out the stimulus programs from the US government, like PPP for small business, banking loans. Also making sure that stimulus payments that were coming through from the government to all the taxpayers here in the US, that they were handled safely and fastly and securely. I remember April 15 is the day that we celebrated that we didn't go down. It's normally not what you do as a head of technology. It's the norm. It's what is expected. But that was the first day that millions and millions of payments were done into the checking accounts of our customers. Everybody was already checking from 3 a.m. in the morning, is the money there, is the money there? And we saw 3 times spike volumes, record volumes, compared to the past. We were okay with that and could handle that in a nice way. If you look at the other thing is making sure that we are setting ourselves up for the future. So collaboration platforms where people can work seamlessly together from the office and from home, like the mixed model that many of us see today. Making sure that we have the platforms for that. So without doing any commercials for any of the bigger IT companies, we're rolling out one of those big collaboration platforms at this point.
Saul, where have you focused transformation efforts during the pandemic? And what changes can you see being made permanent?
We see, so the transformation efforts really was all about accelerating the safety measures that I just explained and making sure that that was done in a stable and safe way. Making sure that we have security in place for all the VPN connections, the connections that you and I use to work from home. Making sure that bad actors cannot exploit those type of connections. Is that a transformation? No, that is just basic hygiene for a large bank, but we had to do it faster in a certain context that was like a crisis than ever. The things that will remain, that I see personally that will remain, are a couple of things. We have put in place a cross-discipline decision room, which is a decision room with all the functions of the bank where we hammered out decisions in a matter of hours within a day that normally would take us a month or months. That is something that we will keep in place. We already use it now for other large initiatives as well. And that is also nicely fitting in our agile construct, where we work together across all the different disciplines and hammer out decisions fast. The other thing that will stay is digitization and e-commerce, of course. Here in the US, the growth of e-commerce has been 10 times the same growth of the last 9 years. Just let that sink in. That will remain. But if you look at how we have digitalized many of the functions and features, it's in response to a crisis. It's not always with the customer in mind. So we allow the customer to do it yourself. But what we see as a next step is do it for me. So instead of do it yourself, can you as a bank do things for me?
So when you talk about COVID-19, the pandemic, there are certain buzzwords that always crop up in a conversation, regardless of who you're talking to. Technology, innovation, trends, that sort of stuff. But I mean, when you look at it from your perspective, what do you see as the main technological trends that people like you are really getting excited about, that you'll be looking out for in the future?
Yeah, we see a cocktail of different trends coming together, Judith. So if you look at do things for me, like I just said, DIFM, do it for me, we have to combine a few things in that cocktail. The first thing is AI, ML. I will talk about that in a second. The second thing is data, making sure that we have the proper data to apply to do it for you as a customer. And then last but not least, supercomputers. So the power of compute is expanding so fast. I will say something about that. AI, ML, if you look at the way we work as a bank, we have definitely taken the position that we don't know it all. So we're not arrogant, we're not stubborn. We work together with research institutes like Stanford, MIT, ITT in India. And we work on a couple of research cases with them, which we believe are important to embrace AI, ML in the future even more. The first one is explainable AI. I don't know whether you know, but AI in the pure definition means models become self-learning. Models are going to apply their own logic and routine at one point, and we cannot explain anymore the outcome of what we put into a model and what came out of that model. For a bank, that is unacceptable. We should always be in a position where we can explain to you why a certain loan was provided or not. The nice thing of technology is we solve every problem in technology with new technology. So we're now working on a research case where we are able to have an AI to explain AI that is unexplainable. So just let that sink in. The second thing is human-centered AI is what we do together with Stanford, Google, and Amazon. As a bank, we are joining that partnership. We have joined that partnership last year, where we believe that AI is there to support humankind, not the other way around. It's a little bit like DNA re-engineering in the 80s and the 90s, where suddenly we saw certain choices that could be made that we found as humankind not ethical anymore. With AI, it could become the case that models become so smart, self-train themselves, become more and more intelligent, that they start to take decisions for you and me that we would never take given our own ethical posture as humankind. So human-centered AI is really there to make sure that technology is there to support humankind, not the other way around, which could be the case if you let AI go its own way. On data, we have a research case that we call small data. Maybe you have heard in the past the buzzword big data. And big data is basically the biggest inefficiency in technology. We pile up data and then we run it into a big model with a very difficult scenario. We spin up enormous amount of compute power to work that scenario through all the data and then spit out an outcome. We believe that it's way smarter to have a small set of data that is just significant enough to have the right outcome, where you don't have all the waste of power and compute power that you need to build up. And then if we talk about compute power, I spoke about supercompute and not yet about quantum compute. But it's exciting as a head of technology to be in a lifetime where we will see the step change from a lorry and a horse to a super fast supercar. That is going to be the case when quantum computing will take over classical or will coexist with classical computing. Those are a couple of trends. AI, but then explainable AI, making sure that we are efficient with data, with small data and quantum computing.
Saul, well, it's been wonderful having you projected onto our screen here at Sibos TV. Thank you so much for some fascinating insights. Live from New York, that was Saul Van Beurden, Head of Technology at Wells Fargo.